am the writer under the alias of APOCHORO, with a bunch of different very talented musicians who joined me on making these records.
Hey guys, I'm Spencer Young.
And I'm Austin Brown.
From APOCHORO, and we just wanted to take a minute to thank you guys for all the support and kind words you've been sending our way while we've been in the studio for the past couple months recording The Hunter and the Orca.
We'll let it rest here. Thanks, guys.
So I've been working with Austin with music, for as far back as I can remember. We've been best friends since 6th grade.
So it catches on the harmony when you sing that last little section, right?
I don't know, it's really been like, it's been like a crazy past couple weeks because almost like 2-3 years in the making now. So like the fact that it's all like coming to surfacing right now is like kind of overwhelming. Yeah. It's like, nervous, exciting, all of those like all wrapped into one. It makes me want to go high.
I've been playing music since I was about 4 years old. Right when Austin and I got back from a trip to the Florida Keys, me and Austin took a trip down there after we finished tracking the first EP, Somnium. I was looking for inspiration for the next record. I had no idea what I was going to write it about because APOCHORO has moved almost as in chapters with my life, so however I evolved, that's what the record is about. It was when we were down there, I kind of started thinking about life in general and placement. I'd gotten back from traveling for a while. Went on a hitchhiking excursion for 90 days throughout North America when I wrote the first EP. And when I got back from that, I had a lot to think about. I did a lot of self-reflection on the road. And I started learning about balance and life in general and existence. And that was the birth of The Hunter and the Orca.
So me and Spencer met 6th grade, elementary school. Started a band, had a couple different iterations with the band. Did that all the way through college. Then the band's kind of split up. I went to college, and we all kind of just did our own thing. And I moved to Orlando, Florida, and he moved to New Smyrna Beach, which is about a 45-minute drive away. And he's just been writing all these songs.
When I first started writing this music, I approached Austin with the tracks because he was getting more into engineering and digital music production. And I asked him to record this music that I've been writing, and of course we couldn't help ourselves. So I was like, hey man, you want to play like bass on this? Like, come on, let's just fill the record out.
So I wrote The Hunter, took 6 months off because kind of like where The Hunter left me in a mind frame. The setting, like I couldn't get out of it. It was like kind of like a role for a film where you play a character, but you can't get back to yourself. Yeah. And it took me like half a year to kind of get back to myself and then get to a point where I felt that I was okay to proceed and that I was like reborn to like write the second half of the album. But now, like when you look at them, the two, they're completely they're written by two different people. Really? And it's obvious when you hear it.
I think it really breathes life and you can feel the soul in the songs. And it's a really cool collaboration album, and I think it's definitely something everybody should listen to, and I think anybody who listens to it is going to see all that and really enjoy it. He came into my 6th grade classroom and walked up straight up to me and was like, hey, you want to be friends? And I said, okay. And pretty much from that day on, we were best friends ever since.
Yeah, I've been working with Bobby in past projects my whole entire life as well with music, and when he came onto this and brought his element and his perspective on the music, it always bleeds the truth.
Bobby's the icing on the cake. He takes what he hears and he's able to add that like extra vibe and extra like coolness on the album that just wouldn't come if he wasn't playing on it. Bottom line. A lot of the leads he comes up with, and it's just the perfect amount of like Bobby.
He's been phenomenal. He's been jamming on guitar. He's really contributed and brought a certain element to this record. The record currently would not exist the way it is without his work on it.
I just kind of go with whatever I feel. Spencer's music is very raw, very emotional, and I just feed off that. And you know, we've always written music together for so long. We both just know what we want, and Spencer can kind of just say a couple words to me of what he wants, and then I just go with it. And then by then we're both like, hell yeah, that sounds awesome.
You know, I had like just a reflection day, we'll call it that. And I was watching the movie Jaws, and it's like the end scene where, Richard Dreyfuss is down at the bottom of the ocean, and you see Jaws coming out, and you see the boat, and they're hunting, and for some reason, it reminded me of life. It was just like an existential moment, I guess you could say, that I had. At Jaws, the shark was like life, and it's always coming at you. It's always coming after you. But what you have to do is survive, and you have to always overcome. And that's where the first initial idea of the hunter and the boat in Jaws is called the Orca, which is where the hunter and the Orca, the thought originated. However you want to portray it, everything is about balance and finding the line, because I believe one cannot exist without the other. That we can survive as good men or good people in life is to be able to find the balance and walk the line, be the best of both worlds. Let's redo that real quick.
Come sit by my fire, let's talk.
That was a good one. I thought.
Let me do it one more time, Austin.
Fine, for sure.
Yeah, I'm like getting there.
Come sit by my fire, let's talk.
Always liked about anything Spencer's ever been a part of musically is that he really gives you a different taste in your mouth. You're not really sure what to expect, and it's exciting.
Love that Dylan.
Hell yeah!
Brandon Crabtree has been involved on this record. He and I teamed up and did vocals on the single Isaac off the Hunter.
It's like super cool. It just kind of adds that extra layer of flavor, to the ingredients, right? So it's awesome.
I think around the time I met Spencer in Austin, I had a vague knowledge of playing guitar and writing music. I hadn't ever written a song in my life at that point. I hadn't talked for a minute, and I had been going through some crazy stuff with relationships and with changing jobs and living situations and stuff, and I was producing a couple of bands at the time as well, so I just my head was sort of all over the place. And I remember I called Spencer and to tell him that I wasn't going to be able to do it anymore. He inadvertently kind of smacked me around a little bit. He was like, wake up, no, you need to take this energy and put it into this, just clear your head for an hour or two, sit down.
And I said, well, write about that, and because that's what the Hunter is all about, is release.
And just don't think about it, just feel it, just put everything that you're feeling.
And he did, and he sent me back a track a week later to mix down with one of the most beautiful vocal parts I've heard in a long time.
Whatever's in your heart and what's on your mind right now, just put it into that song. And I drove down the street and got some alcohol and drove back to the studio and drank that alcohol and got in the zone and poured it all out. I called him as soon as I had finished tracking it and editing it, and he was just like, that's it, that's the one. And I was like, are you sure? I might need to. He was like, no, that's the one. We're going with this, it's perfect.
Man, me and Spencer go way back. It all starts when Spencer, in his first band, My Mom Bob, wrote a song about my brother.
Billy Walker, he came in and jammed percussion.
Yeah, he was our first choice. I mean, we would have done Trevor just because we played bands with Trevor before, you know, so he was kind of like our, we was in Nashville, you know what I mean? And like, Billy's an awesome dude, he's right here. He can come in here, lay it out real fast. You know, he does it all the time. He's a studio drummer. He plays in different bands. He's a solid dude.
I've been working with Billy, playing music and shows and touring since, I don't know, how long, Austin? It's like 2002 or something like that. A while.
After high school, I was recording bands, and everyone knows drumming in the studio is one of the hardest things to do. And I always admired it. You know, there's drum kits laying in my studio everywhere, so I just put one together and drummed. And
he just came in here and he just had a super positive attitude about this record for me, just like throwing at him like a 2-year-long project and just being like, here you go. You know, jam some drums to it, man. Like, just do what you feel, go with the flow.
Gave him the tracks, and then we ended up just plugging all the amps in and just playing with them for a while and actually writing the rhythm and the groove out.
I really just had, you know, some guitars and a vocal and not much else, which was cool because, you know, I could experiment and they had their ideas and we just went to town.
I was just like, let's just fucking plug these amps in, and we wrote the groove. We played a couple times like physically in this room, and then I would just hit the record button and he would just rock it right through.
But these songs were actually way more difficult than I expected. So we actually did about half the songs on week 1, and we did the other half after that on the second week.
And you know, he just came in here and just literally blew us away with what he did with percussion. And I picked up a copy of a book called The Sea Wolf by Jack London that was written in 1918. And the story fit very similarly to the original, you know, notion that I had, as I was reading this, that was when I first started writing. So I guess you could say that this, you know, initial burst of, you know, feelings and emotions of life coming at you and overcoming things and making the best and being strong, this dove into a personal excursion into my life, to where I turned it into, the record got very personal at that moment and got very serious for me.
Has there been anything that has unexpectedly changed the course of this record? What and how?
Jesus fucking Christ. This record, I personally dubbed the record that didn't want to be born. This record did not want to be made. There's been curveballs left and right. I've had to bleed literally to make this record happen. I've given up on this record multiple times. To be completely honest with you, there was times where I just didn't want to play music anymore. Writing this record, what's the fucking point? Who fucking cares? And at the end of the day, I just had to keep going, because failure is just not an option when it comes to something that's important that you hold so dearly, because you can't just bottle that kind of shit up and put it away. You have to get it out. When you start something like that, you gotta finish it. When you open a door, you gotta close it.
It's like, hey, I wrote all these songs, and obviously we've been doing this for a long time together. And we get Billy Walker in here. We got Brandon Crabtree, and I played the bass, and we got my brother, my twin brother Bobby, just laying guitar down. And now we're just kind of wrapping up vocals and mixing, just kind of finalizing the whole concept. And he comes in with the idea. I get the fellas to come in here and make it happen, and then we would just mix it down and record it and produce it and make sure it comes out okay.
I mean, I could go into detail all day long about a million things that have stood in the way of this record. Me leaving Florida, coming to Dallas, cross-country excursions, losing everything that I've ever owned, homeless at certain points in times, you name it. Hey, everybody knows this. Life's coming at you, you know, life's always gonna come get you. Oh, you know, you gotta make the best of yourself. Yeah, everybody fucking knows that. But it's what, you know, like what truly defines a man to be able to make those calls. So it was at that moment that I decided to split my time in half, and I viewed, well, what's the strongest thing that I can think of that that will define this? I can think of God and the devil. So I decided to spend 6 months of my life with the devil and 6 months with God. And the 6 months that I spent with the devil was when I wrote The Hunter, and the 6 months that I spent with God was when I wrote the Orca. And that is the only way that I felt that I could truly live the Great Line, and I could walk on the balance, and that I could truly understand both worlds. Because once you've seen both, that allows you to determine what you want to be in the middle. It was ironic because through the book of the Seawolf, Jack London's character, he gets kidnapped aboard the boat, and it's basically about him living with God and the devil in his own metaphorical way. And the ironic thing about it was, months later, after I'd finished this process of writing the album, a leaflet fell out of the original book that I got. It was a 1976 copy of Reader's Digest, a review of the Seawolf, and it was talking about Jack London's death in the 50s. He died of a morphine overdose and was buried in San Francisco. And the craziest thing about it was when he did die, they read Robert Louis Stevenson's Requiem. And if I can quote it directly, "Here he lies where he longs to be, the sailor home from the sea and the hunter home from the hill." And it was in that moment that too many coincidences and things kind of aligned with me on this record to where it kind of took on a persona of its own. The best way that I can put it to you is just as I grow, as we grow, the music grows. The music is influenced as we're influenced. Because, what APOCHORO is all about is just a collection of memories, experiences, passions, and enlightenment. So basically every moment that I've ever had in my life led up to where I am now. And every moment that I've shared an experience with my brothers brings me to where I am now. The thing that I know to be true in life is that there is one of you, only one. There will only ever be one, and there will never be another one of you again. So if you stay true to your heart, true to your mind and your soul, then you'll never do a wrong day in your life. Also, my dad always told me an honest man never has anything to ever worry about. So stay true to yourself, be honest, and love your family, because you only get one.